And I think this is really the interesting part that ties us to the question today. Yeah. So post private equity, and this is where it segues into the international expansion, we then started to buy businesses. We then started to look to see if we can take this business model overseas. And that's where I really saw your passion for data and analytics to really start to come from. About this isn't just now about the application. This is about creating a network of different businesses and processes.
Yeah. So I think, you're right. 2014, we've done the private equity deal. This was the start of the data journey. And, just kind of as part of kind of the exit, as part of that, getting private equity involved, I had started to understand, where the power of data might be. So, what we had is two data analysts and kind of Brookson was a very transactional business. So I had two kind of data developers who were doing SQL, writing SQL, delivering it in Excel and giving it to the business. So that was my first penny drop moment to say, well, I think we can automate away some of this process. They keep on building these reports. We give them out. The business was, there wasn't visibility across departments. So it was a beautiful swan-like experience when you went online and you used the portal, but underneath there was a separate invoicing department. There was a separate expense department. They all had kind of different systems. So again, it was a system of systems. There was, accounting systems, payroll, kind of invoicing, financial services. And actually, it was quite siloed. Mm-hmm. So what you had is, people would raise, kind of emails or tickets saying, what's going on in this system for this individual. So it was actually, a very inefficient, very siloed, and that really, one, it was expensive, but it stopped, delivering the right kind of customer experience. So I could start to see, how, through data, I could start to get rid of the silos, kind of join it up. And we'd just done the deal. And I remember kind of Martin, the CEO, sitting me down and saying, do you know what, in the presentation, you talked about data, and we're good with all the applications, the data stuff. I felt that maybe, we talked about it, but we need to get a lot better, mm-hmm. So, and I said, okay, so how do I do that? So, I phoned up a consultancy in London and I said, listen, we're going to become great at data. Please, can you come and help us? Mm-hmm. At which point they said, no, you've got the wrong number. We only deal with merchant banks. So I said, oh no, come on, come up to Warrington, leave the city and come to kind of Warrington and listen to our story and what we're about. So they came up and we started to do an engagement to kind of work out the how we were going to solve this. So we did a supply and demand exercise, and we found out that yes, there's a massive opportunity for data in the business, but we'd have to go from, in the traditional approach that we were doing now, we'd have to go from 2 data analysts to 30 data analysts. Okay, that's not feasible. Yeah. So what we what we started with is a kind of citizen orientated strategy, and we started to use the new technologies. So this is kind of 2014. So this is all kind of really new. But what we did is we got the kind of the latest technology at the time that was, no code a technology where we could actually, rather than take on lots of kind of data experts, we could give the people in the business, the knowledge workers, we could give them the tools in order to start to be data experts ourselves. And I think this is probably more understood now, but back in 2014, it's like, this is, this is. Really,
I remember
really,
a catchphrase you used, which, originally my background software engineering way back when, it sort of strikes a little bit of fear into me, that you used to say the future of the system is no system at all.
Yeah, I think, what I kind of talked about there is, even though I was kind of really kind of proud of kind of the application that we'd built, and, at the end of the day, does anybody want to go on to a portal to raise invoices and do expenses? No, no, they don't. However proud I am of how beautiful I've made that, it's not really what people want. And I think with kind of the data now and kind of APIs and kind of pulling in information from all over, if you have all those inputs and then you have data driving it, you can be proactive. So, if I need to go onto a portal to see, the performance of my kind of business, I want to go and check that every day to make sure things are okay. Well, with data and everything joined up, we can spot when there's a problem and be proactive. So, and then if we can call you, when there is an issue, you don't need to go onto the portal. So, the future is actually allowing people to not be involved in accountancy, not be involved, get on with what they're doing, delivering their service. So I still kind of believe that today the future app is no app.
Yeah, that was it. The future app is no app.